Hey, good evening, everyone. I am Nick Rieker. I'm the Manager of Regulatory Affairs and Emergency Preparedness for New Brunswick Power at the Point and Pro Nuclear Generating Station, and I'm very proud to be able to have the opportunity to present tonight in our community and really focus on safety and really want to focus on safety together, how we have safety at home, at work, and in our communities, and really ties into being Safety Month and how we can promote some of the items that we focus on at the station, but also how can we bring these items home to our day-to-day practices, and especially as we look how the weather has changed and where we're transitioning into spring and summer activities, and really make sure that we are keeping everyone safe in all of their daily activities. So I would like to start first by just a little bit on NB Power. So we do have over 2,900 employees, which make up work over 13 generating stations with a total generating capacity of 3,772 megawatts. A very interesting point is transmission lines represent about 6,900 kilometers, with distribution lines being 21,829, which is significant and looks to the vast land area that we have with New Brunswick and how much we cover for support of the province and through NB Power. If we look at our direct customers being roughly 3,000 or 386,000, with 46,000 indirect customers and a total in-province sale of 13,000 gigawatt hours, with a total sales in electricity representing roughly 2.9 billion annually. Our vision within New Brunswick Power is to enhance the lives by providing clean, competitive, and reliable energy solutions, with our mission being around passionate and committed by offering the best customer experience, ensuring energy security, and accelerating a sustainable clean energy transition.
Oh, Nick, if I could just interrupt 1 second, I'm sorry, but your slides are not progressing.
They are not, okay?
So you might just have to go back into that other screen to access them.
My apologies. Okay, are they showing now, Linda?
Yes, they are. That's perfect. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Our values for the corporation, and I think it ties in very well to this presentation and the theme that we want to talk about, is safety at heart. And we are committed to the safety of every employee and member of the public. And we do this through planning safety into all of our work activities, both at the station and through the company wide, following the rules that are in effect to keep our safe and our workforce, being a leader in safety, reporting so we all can get better and make sure that we're learning from every opportunity, having the courage to stop and correct unsafe behaviors or activities, and saying no to unsafe work. And this is really paramount and tied to caring for our team and ensuring that we are open, honest, and transparent with each other and build relationships on trust, and caring for our customers. We are both employees and customers, and we cannot support the province by ensuring that the truth and the respect that we have for all of our customers that are out there and maintaining those relationships with integrity and do what we say we're going to do. In caring for our future, we need to ensure that we're not just focusing on now, but where are we going to be down the road for the support of the province. So we do want to transition to the safety discussion, and one approach that we promote daily within our station operations is safety being in every task and every day. And it does not matter if you are an operator in the control room or if you're an engineer, if you're emergency response team, security. We want to make sure that those behaviors are exhibited, promoted, and reinforced, and that everybody who comes to work goes home safely to their family and loved ones. A couple items that I do want to directly tie, and I think it very goes well into the time of year and the focus is items that we do daily. And sometimes we may not always think about the checks and the safe practices, but want to look at ladder safety, electrical safety, vehicle safety, personal protective equipment that we may use, and some safety expectations that we have on site. And that way can really support how that would promote into our daily lives. The first one that I would like to transition in is around ladder safety. And an item that I'm guaranteeing that everyone has a ladder in their home, in their shed, in their garage, or camp or cottage, and making sure that when we do use those, that we use them safely. And there are simple rules. I don't think any of these are a surprise to anyone, but always face the ladder when ascending or descending, and maintaining 3 points of contact, whether that be 2 feet in one hand or two hands and 1 foot at all time. Another key item is the top of the ladder should never be used as a step. That's there to maintain safe interface with the ladder and the structure that it's going against. And ensuring that ladders are not moved, shifted, or extended while occupied. If they need to be moved, then make sure that yourself or others get off the ladder, move it to the correct location, resecure it, and make sure that you assess that safely. And never carry an object or load that could cause you to lose your balance. And that really goes back to maintaining the 3 points of contact for the safe ascension and descension. A couple items that from the station that we really promote a lot on ladder safety, and it goes into inspections. And before you actually use the ladder or piece of equipment, is making sure that you look for signs of defects or cracks. Are there any missing rungs? Is there any damage or missing extension locks? And fundamentally, ensuring that it's the adequate strength and the length for the task. And that often makes sure that it is the right tool for the job that you're completing. And if you cannot reach it safely, then that comes into finding alternatives or potentially a longer ladder. Another item is that when you're on the ladder is maintain your center of gravity between the ladder side rails, and that you are not extending your body beyond either side, which could cause yourself to fall off or the ladder to become unsecure and end up falling with you. A key item, especially if you are on a ladder, if you don't have anyone around you, make sure you tie that ladder off. And if you do have the aid of a person around you or individuals, have someone secure that while it's in use at the footing of the ladder while you're ascending it, while you're working and descending, and really to make sure that it's maintaining its position correctly. And the final note that I would line is do not use the top three rungs of the ladder as a step on the material shelf. It's there to make sure that you can put materials and work, but to prevent yourself overextending the reach of that ladder and device. The next item I'd like to transition into is around electrical safety. And if you are anything like myself, I know you have several extension cords in your garage and power bars that you use around the house, and they can all be used very safely, but there is a key items and practices to make sure that to be aware of. And one is do not plug extension cords into another extension cord. When they're built and designed, they're designed to provide the electrical rating at their design length. And when you start adding additional cords to that, you challenge and reduce that, and you put additional strain onto that electrical cord. And that goes into making sure that they are properly rated for the activity and the needs that you're completing it. And, power cords have various sizes and ratings, depending if you're trying to run a simple light or items that may be up to a skill saw or an electrical device, and even up until items that such may be a portable generator where you may be plugging that in, that that there is a significant difference between the size and rating of those cords. And really tying into is ensuring that you do not overload the extension cords. Same similar as power bars or any outlet in your house. If you overload those, you will impact the protection of those, and ultimately you could increase the risk of a fire. Key item is also when it ties into doing inspections of ladders is inspection of extension cords for signs of damage. They could have spots that are through the insulation. There may be damaged plugs. And when you get into those items, you should really assess it. Does that impact the safety and use of it? And if so, should look at replacing the extension cords or electrical cord. Or there are options where you can go through and replace some of the ends, especially if a grounding plug may not be there or may be missing. Another item is, especially when we're running extension cords, avoid running them across doorways, walkways, or driveways for a couple items. One, they can become a tripping hazard for individuals around. The other is that if they're across a driveway or others, the more that people walk on or you potentially drive on them, you're going to damage those cords and ultimately impact their ability to safely provide you your electricity to your needs. Another item that's in there is do not nail or staple electrical cords to walls or baseboards. This is a key item, especially when it comes into removal or installation of Christmas lights. Often we staple those through, and every now and then you can have a staple that can go through the insulation into the wiring, and that can jeopardize the function and the safety of that equipment. So really to make sure that you're protecting all of those barriers on that equipment for the safe operation. And one item that I would leave as well is daisy chaining, not just extension cords, but power bars. And an item that we have a significant high regard for on station is not plugging power bars into other power bars to support running more equipment. They are designed to support the loads that they have, whether it may be 3 plugs, 4 plugs, or 5. And if you try to increase that capacity, you can overload those circuits. So really want to focus and reinforce that, do inspections of the equipment. If they're damaged, replace those. If you need something of a longer length, then look for those alternatives or longer length cables versus trying to put 2 or more cables together to obtain that. And making sure that they are the proper size to support the task and the job that you're doing. Another key area that we promote a significant amount of focus on is vehicle safety. And especially with the change in the weather, we're getting out more, we're doing more travels and trips. And it's to really make sure that we're focusing on not just are we ready, is our vehicle ready to safely get us from point A to point B? And an item that we utilize, and it's done amongst the industry, is doing a 360 walk around your vehicle. And by doing that walk around your vehicle before you take your trip, you're looking for a key couple items. One is, are your tires properly inflated, or is there any signs of damage? Do you see any visible leaks? That could be oil, gas, coolant. And is there any visible damage that may have occurred to your vehicle either during the last trip or maybe while it's been parked in the parking lot or otherwise? And to really make sure that you focus on those items. Another great component is making sure that your vehicle has a safety kit. That can be items such as road hazard signs, could be flares, it could be blankets, it could be water, booster cables, everything that's within that. If you became broke down or stranded, they can help you to maintain your safety until you can get someone to come help you or make the repairs or get that turned over. I would also note that a couple items that is, we focus on the safety of the vehicle, but the other is making sure that we're giving everything that we can for that vehicle to help us. And a lot of that comes to maintaining good visibility through keeping your windows clean. A lot of times, and especially this time of year, it's going to start to get increasingly difficult with bugs, with dust, pollen, all the other weather challenges that can come in, and really to make sure that you take the time to clean those windows and that you can view everything out and you can also be seen in. And the last point I would bring up And we actually have an expectation on our site is that every time you park a vehicle, the vehicle must be backed into the parking spot. And this isn't something that everybody does naturally outside of our work environment, but it does a couple things to promote safety. When you back into the parking spot, it avoids you having to back out of it, which has become your biggest challenge on seeing individuals or other vehicles around you and making sure that you can access and traverse safely. So, a couple items that really want to help support people and promote as travel gets more frequent when we get into nice weather, and that we're doing as much safety on the road as we are in our workplace and at home. To look at some of the other items that can really help us be safe is around personal protective equipment. And we have a high regard for our PPE on site. And this can include everything from eyeglasses to proper hand protection and gloves, safety footwear, hard hats, hearing protection, and sometimes coveralls or protective clothing. And a lot of the personal protective equipment is really based on the task that you are performing. And the biggest item in that, if you select or need any personal protective equipment, is that it is worn properly. It's not that you have it on, that the safety shoes, the gloves, the eyeglasses, hearing protection fit and are adequate to provide the protection for the tasks that we're doing. And just like anything that we have and focus on, it's maintaining that our PPE is in good condition. And if there are any signs of damage, then to make sure that we replace that or repair it as needed. And a couple items that really come out to me that is really easy ones to ensure that we have the right PPE on is mowing the lawn. We know that most of us are transitioning into mowing our lawn on a regular frequency, and whether it's a push mower or ride on lawn mower, having safety footwear, making sure that we do have hearing protection, eyeglasses to prevent any debris entering in. And they're easy ones to make sure that we're setting ourselves up, or if we're teaching our children and loved ones, maybe it's their first time operating this equipment, and we want to make sure that they're doing it safe. And one of the ways we can ensure that they're doing it safe is to provide that oversight, but to make sure we're giving them the right protective equipment to keep them safe if something did happen. A couple of other items that I think about that we get into our day to day is tree cutting. We could be moving trees or shrubs or branches on our property or cottage or camp. And to really make sure that when we're doing that, we know we can do it safe, but things can happen. And to look at that unforeseen chances is items such as hard hats, safety glasses, hearing protections, hand protection, is to really ensure that if something fell or if something come off it, then we are taking those right precautions. And a lot of big focus on material handling, whether it is moving material around your yard or items in your garage or even inside your house, is to make sure that you look, hey, is it the right gloves that I should have on to protect my hands? Is there ways that I can look at protecting myself for that task, even right down to footwear of having safety shoes in case something may fall? And really the focus is with personal protective equipment is to keep yourself safe from injury. And lastly, the item I would like to cover off is some of our safety expectations that maybe aren't as well written down, or items that have as much of a focus, but they truly keep us safe every day. And one that we have a significant focus on for anyone who has been at our site is the use of handrails, both when going up and going downstairs. And it has been proven that a significant amount of injuries are and can be caused when going up and down stairs. And especially if you're not using the handrail, or if you have something in your hands that prevents your ability to use that handrail and to stop yourself if you may stumble or fall. And really making sure that you use those, whether it's in your house, whether you're out at the mall, or if you're at any place, they're designed for your safety, and really take advantage of those. and holding other people accountable to say, hey, it's really for your safety to use these, and to make sure that, slips and trips do happen. And that can be a way to avoid a more serious accident. Cell phones, we know that we use these every day. They're in all aspects of our lives, but really to ensure that we're not using them when we're walking and driving, especially items that can become a distraction and really prevent us from focusing on the task that we are doing. Key item is being vigilant of children playing outside. As we transition into the beautiful weather that we're having right now and this evening, when children are getting off school and on the weekends, they're outside playing now with the warm weather. And to really be mindful that as we are driving through our communities, to be mindful of the children because they may not be mindful of us as we're driving down the roads. They're focused on the fun that they're having with their games, with their other friends, and it could be chasing a ball or riding a bicycle. We need to be vigilant to ensure that we're watching them at all times and we're ready to react and respond if they may come out on the road or otherwise. And that's even when you're going into your yard or someone's yard, is to make sure, that they're not around, they're not behind a vehicle, they may not have left their bicycle or otherwise in a spot where it should not be. And actually, on that same thought, is being mindful of wildlife. This is a transition season where a lot of wildlife now has their little ones and young that are out, and they're around the sides of the roads or in our yards, whether it's deer or it's foxes or it's bears, whatever it may be. And to be very mindful of those, that they're closer to the roads or getting out with the vegetation, and to watch those through our transit, whether it's in the morning or evening or throughout the day, and be very mindful and always put yourself in a position that you're ready to respond and react and drive defensively if some of those items may occur. Last 2 points I would like to just really drive into our safety approach at MB Power, and it ties into our core values of having the courage to stop any unsafe acts. We talk a lot about that at the workplace. If you see something, you say something, and you want to make sure that everyone goes home safe. But this is also an area that we can take home to our family, to our communities. It could be as simple as seeing someone out mowing the lawn without any safety gear on, or someone climbing a ladder in an unsafe condition. Maybe they're going up to make repairs on the roof with no fall protection or really close to a leading edge. And, it's really the point of, hey, can we step in? Can we help offer assistance? You're really to make sure that, we weren't the ones that could have prevented or stopped an accident from happening. It always goes into, when you're doing a task or a job, asking what is the worst thing that could happen. And if you can answer that question and say there is no harm, there's nothing that could happen that's going to be unsafe, then you are likely all right. But most times, most tasks, there is a worst case scenario. You could be hurt, you could be injured, if not worse. And it's really to make sure that if you can think about the worst thing that could happen, you put those barriers in place to protect yourself, your family, and your loved ones while doing that, and making sure that they're able to do it again down the road. So, with those items, I really want to thank the Fundy Shores for the ability to present this evening. And we are very fortunate for the Point Lepreau Nuclear Generating Station to work in the community, be part of the community, and be able to support the community around us. And we have to uphold the high standards on safety for our staff and those around us, and really want to ensure that we can support in any capacity on promoting some of those practices that maybe we not often take for granted, but maybe because they're ingrained into what we do to help support others. I hope everyone has a great, safe day and enjoys the beautiful weather that we're having here in our local area, and look forward to supporting everyone again in the future.
Thank you so much, Nick, for joining us tonight. Now I'm going to stop the recording in case there are any questions.